we can speak all day about the lack of the broadband connectivity, which is massive. I mean, I have had people in Roscommon move out of that county, and remember, 60% of County Roscommon needs the national broadband rollout. More than any county in Ireland, we need that, as Michael will know from serving the constituents with me. And a lot of parts of East Galway, where Michael lives as well, needs that. So it is really so important. And I suppose you can say back to us, we're telling you that. You're the legislators, get and do it. You know, because I get frustrated with the talk. The talk goes on year after year after year, where the problems are, what we need to do, and then nothing or little happens. But the broadband is so, so important. And I know where Willie is coming. I like to write a few letters myself. But business will tell you, and schools will tell you, and others will tell you that broadband is so important. And as I said, I've had situations where people have moved out of the county to adjoining counties. That people were moved out of Roscommon to Longford because we hadn't sufficient broadband for a business in my area. And again, just the sort of things that shouldn't be happening, irrespective of not having a national broadband rollout. But I'll give you North East Roscommon. And Tarmabarry is on the N5, the national primary route, the N5. I'm sure lots of you know it. Ed, you'd know it anyway. And then you have Ruski Village, which is in the news at the moment for a different reason. And the company that was rolling out broadband for Ayr, was it Kane? They rolled down the broadband down the 043 line, which came from Tarmabarry Village towards Ruski. But that 043 line cuts off halfway down. It's 8 miles between Tarmabarry and Ruski. So 4 miles down, they cut off where the 043 line finishes. And some other group, I can't remember who it was, came up on the 071 line, and they finish where the 071 line is. But they leave 200 metres and 6 houses without a connection. I mean, that should be solved overnight. And despite talking to Ayr and others, it couldn't be done. Within that connection where there were 6 houses, there's 2 people run business from home. They're gone out of that now. They had to move. I mean, that is crazy. No matter what hold-up is in the system, there should be a situation where that type of minor issue can be dealt with. And that's where we're failing. And that is really frustrating people out there. And of course, then we had the companies that came in. Broadband companies are there to make money, I accept that. But they pick and choose. And we had a situation down in North Roscommon, I think Michael will be aware of it as well, where we had a certain company providing broadband. And it's not an easy area to provide broadband to, I accept that. But they found a more lucrative area to come from, so they pulled out of where they were, left up to 100 people without broadband, and moved into the more lucrative area where they could get more customers, where there was a better connection. So it is really important that we get to the point where the government, deliver this, and we, I acknowledge as politicians, have to really work hard on that. The rates issue has been touched, and I agree with Willie. What a time to have a review. And yes, some premises, some small businesses did come out on the plus side. But a considerable amount of business had a massive increase in rates in rural Ireland. Okay? I'll be straight about the banking situation. I'm a believer in the credit union. And I'm going to nail my colours to the mast here. I believe the credit union should be allowed to broaden their area into banks, and that government and others should acknowledge that, because we have a problem. We have a number of the banks are pulling out of our small towns. And the reason I go for the credit union, I think they have been very supportive of communities. I don't think you can argue one day for the new banking model and then argue for the credit union. You're either one or the other. The reason I am for the credit union is, number one, the record, and number two, you have the network, you have the branches. You have them in most of the towns. And remember that they are now in the towns where we have no banks in some cases. So let's move on with it, and let's let the credit union do it, and let the credit union take on note or take on board what we've been saying here today, particularly what Willie and Michael have been saying. And going back to Seamus' point, I've said this for years. When we had the ICC and the ACC, they were of significance, and I said it when both were taken out of the system. It was a major drawback in relation to financing. It narrowed the field. And it's one of the reasons I think that a lot of the banking problems have arisen. I would also say to the credit union, you probably need to maybe get out more to the farming community. you know, get out, let them know what you've available, let you know what you can help them with, because I would still think there's quite a number of the farming community are not fully aware of your products, of what you can do now in relation to loans, and maybe that's something you should have a look at.